Is your business failing? Your esports org? Is something going wrong? Do you not have the followers you expected? Are the teams that you are acquiring or paying just not working out for you? Hello, everyone. My name is Christian. I'm an esports consultant. I have worked as a general manager for a few smaller orgs, and I've worked with a few orgs here and there to help them with negotiations, rebranding. That's a huge thing. That's something I'm going to cover in this video. I've helped a lot of orgs specifically with connecting to the right people and upper staff of companies to get licenses, figuring out certain things practically. And so I decided to basically make a video on what really is needed to have a successful esports organization and why most likely yours is failing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the fact is, most people have no idea how to run an esports organization as a business. So I did not script this. I don't believe in scripting these kinds of things because a lot of the information is not going to be very proper. But I did write down a few bullet points. And what I want to start with is the obvious business model of esports, right? So the business model of esports is entertainment. It's like the entertainment industry. Look at traditional sports. It's on a much larger scale, obviously. But the idea is that you pay players to play at a high level, consumers watch this high level gameplay, and then in return they buy your merchandise. Sponsors, send you sponsorships so that you will get obviously money to fund the players and potentially pocket depending on the surplus slash profit margins. You'll have investors, shareholders, sometimes stocks. I believe. I think it's the Knicks. I don't really follow traditional sports, but I believe American football, the Knicks, have a stock as well. So publicly owned. FaZe was publicly owned. That's a massive esports org. I think they went private though, with banks acquiring, reacquiring FaZe. There's just mostly just don't. It's almost like charity. Like people will invest into a sports organization or sponsor them, expect money in return, and the money in return that they get is gonna usually be a little iffy because not everyone's going to buy sports merchandise. Now, this is specifically in sports, a little differently than esports. In esports, the sponsors are going to be your, Logitechs, your Razer, your Zowie, and they don't care about getting money in return. It's not like a loan. What they care about specifically is that people will see that advertised and see their logo plastered on a good team, and they're gonna be like, okay, we want to buy this product because we want to be as good as these players. That's basically what the sponsors expect. Now, I'm gonna be honest, sponsorships do not pay well most of the time. We had a situation on Take Charge before. Well, frankly, that org was horrible. A lot of people, including myself, got scammed. Unfortunately, in the end, it was a bit of a pump and dump that was very unexpected. It was very sudden. But we had a sponsorship opportunity from a very large company, a very large company. I am not sure if I'm allowed to name them. But they manufacture a lot of products. They manufacture computers as well. They do pre-builts. They make peripherals, mostly just like motherboards and stuff. And they offered us every 3 months only $400. Now, obviously, that's not enough to pay any team, especially in South Asia, because what we were paying them was a very, very good monthly salary. Because at that point, their region was growing very quickly in Rainbow Six Siege, which was the game they were playing. Now, obviously, they're not worth nearly as much, but Point is, financially speaking, sponsorships are iffy. You most of the time will not get a good sponsorship, just for having a good team, and that's a sad reality. So that kind of brings me to my next point of you make money from sponsorships, you make money from merchandise sales, you make money from private investors, and you make money from prize pool winnings or subsidies from the game you are in. For example, Ubisoft used to pay teams to be in their esport and help them out a bit, right? Unfortunately, they do not do that anymore, and they made their system even worse with the new partner program. So I just would not recommend to any sane human being to invest into Rainbow Six Siege Esports. But regardless, if we move past the business model, because now we're on the same page, the esports business is simple. I mean, all you got to do is just, you know, get your sponsors, get your money from advertising your players, a lot of that kind of stuff. But the next thing is, how do you actually then run an esports org? Because you're obviously not going to have instant profit, not even as quick as other businesses. In regular business school, there is this kind of rule of sorts where you should be able to survive the first 6 months with no income whatsoever from your business. Um, and esports is 2 years, about, give or take. There's a good org as well that I should add to my examples list that I'll cover later, called Disrupt Gaming, who end up getting bought by Astralis. I kind of like to see esports, the esports industry, and the ability to make money off of it as a triangle of sorts, right? So you start in the middle of the triangle, right? And then you go into one of the corners, or like somewhere in the middle of the corners, right? Opponents have to go to as close to the outer edge as possible to actually succeed. And the three corners are: one, talent scouting; two, money; and three, a unique idea, or like unique ideas. And a lot of the time when I get brought on as an esports consultant, I have the issue of they don't have any of these. Um, and usually money is not an option because obviously as a consultant I don't put in my own money. They don't have the finances. So I have to look for either a unique idea to offer them, or I have to help them with their talent scouting. Now, normally it kind of depends on their budget because talent scouting takes a lot more time, and I do charge either hourly or monthly, but most of the time people need me for 2 hours. So when it comes to a unique idea, we had a few examples of this, and I'll get into that in a moment. But when we talk about money, we see examples like Bleed, who just spawn out of nowhere. Their owner is a billionaire. Honesty is missing. I don't know where he is. Bleed is cooked, but Bleed was able to just come out of nowhere, buy a bunch of teams, have them live in like Singapore. They had a general manager who used to be in the Siege scene. I don't know what's happening with him now. I haven't checked. Bleed is an example of an org that spawns out of nowhere and has a bunch of money, and therefore they can be very successful. BDS, same thing. But BDS actually is a great example of both talent scouting and money. They had a lot of money. When they started, the first game they got into was Rainbow Six Siege. What could have they done? They could have, probably could not have bought out Vitality, realistically speaking. I think the owner would have had a heart palpitation for the rest of his life because the buyouts on those contracts are ridiculous. But he could have probably gotten an established French order, like 2, 3 teams, if I recall correctly at that time. Enough free agents for sure to buy a license. But what he did instead was he used talent scouting, which is another part of the triangle, to find Shaiko, who just got unbanned, and build a team completely around him, which, by the way, in Rainbow Six Siege, you build around IGL, he built around Shaiko, an entry, and then he basically just bought players that were good, got players that are good, and that team, just like that, went to Pro League, And then they started dominating. First SI they went to, which was like 6 months after getting picked up, or 9 months or whatever. Also, almost made a rally major over fours, but I digress. At SI got top four, and now if you look at their website, I mean, look at their website, and we look at what BDS is. Look at all those sponsors: Logitech, Pringles. I don't even know what that is. Like a designer brand, Kappa. They have so many things. They have now two league teams, it appears, or maybe just one. I'm not sure. Rocket League, FIFA. They're just rich. They've been rich. Their owner's a billionaire. Don't get me wrong, but they're they were able to find success off of following two of the principles of the triangle. If you follow all three, you're obviously golden. Unfortunately, BDS did not have a unique idea, but they don't need it. They don't need it. Their most unique idea is their ethic, which is just cryptic words for... Like, they literally came up with what BDS stands for because everyone would ask. There's... Don't get me started. I think BDS, branding-wise, is great. They rebranded, although I do think the rebrand was a little iffy. It ended up being ahead of its time, so I was very impressed in the long term. I don't know what that is, so I'm not looking at that. Point is, BDS did a great job. So, obviously we saw BDS. They do an amazing job. They know what they're doing. They're a great org. But it's pretty simple. They had a lot of money. They had good talent scouting. They succeeded very quickly. The org was founded in 2019, I believe. I'd have to check. It could be 18. Team BDS. So in 2019, they picked up their original Siege team. And if I recall correctly, I believe that is also when they founded their org. So let me look at their Twitter. Joined October 2018. So it could have been a late 2018 when they joined or whatever, and like started figuring things out. But now they have about 250,000 followers. They're sponsored by designer brands, and they're probably the richest org, one of the richest orgs in the world, obviously aside from like Liquid, G2, etc. But the point is, they follow two of the principles. Now, another example I want to give you is ITB. So ITB is a British org, if I remember correctly. And what's so interesting about them is they had only talent scouting and they became successful. Their owner and their general manager, obviously they're intellectual individuals. They know what they're doing in terms of business. And what they did was they didn't go into a mainstream game. They always wanted to be in Dota. Like, their owner was a Dota player. He always wanted to be... He was like a T2 Dota player or something. He always wanted to be in Dota, etc., etc. But what he ended up doing was he realized this is not profitable to just invest, like, my money into. And he went... What the ITB owner did was he decided to invest into specifically sim racing, which is interesting because sim racing is super cheap. Like one of the racers costs about, from what I saw, as low as 300 a month, and there are no limits to sponsors. No limits. You can get sponsored by alcohol companies, gambling companies, etc. Now, if you guys obviously don't know these certain things about esports, no esport allows alcohol or porn sponsors, and that's for obvious enough reasons. But gambling sponsors is 50-50. CS does, Siege does not, right? Gambling sponsors pay so much. Getting sponsored by a gambling company is a jackpot. And they sponsor anyone because they have infinite money, right? Same with alcohol sponsors. The fact that they can't sponsor other esports, but they want to, kind of forces them to go into these tiny, not well-established esports and give a bunch of money to people. Therefore, he was very, very smart with the sim racing, and that helped get him a good sponsorship with a gambling company. And then I believe he went to Dota, and it just kind of like rolled and got bigger and bigger, and it became an established organization. Now, if you look at it once again at ITB, they're in CS2, Siege, Sim Racing, Trackmania, AFT Arena, Halo. Their sim racing team, a Polish dude, so the salary's gonna be less. Um, it's not Austria, Latvia. That's Austria. Okay, Austria, man, and Germany. So like, they all speak German, I assume then. It's a team, right? Surely, maybe. I don't know. Like two people don't even have Twitters, dude. There's no branding there. It's just literally racing and results. And then you look at their sponsors. Shuffle.com. Title sponsor, by the way. I don't know what that is. I'm not clicking on any of these, but obviously they make money because they have this like so many teams now. So very, very impressive stuff from ITB. I will say their website could use a bit of work. It's a little slow, but yeah, overall very impressive work from ITB. And all they did was talent scout. Now, if you look at kind of the other side of the coin, right? We got an org with a unique idea that I actually helped create the idea of. This is a gem. This org is going to grow. Even without me working actively with them, they're following the principle of talent scouting as well, which is very impressive. Their branding is on par. That's the next topic I'm going to get into. Hold on, give me a moment. So, team growth. Obviously, like I work with them. I'm technically working with them, just not announced right now as well. Obviously, that's a Russian flag there, as I am originally from Russia. I think this is a bit ridiculous. Certain things I don't really agree with, but they had a team on LAN for Pokemon Unite, which I didn't even know existed, to be quite honest with you. And that's like a top 16 team in the world. Gmail email is not great for business, I'm gonna be honest. They had a website at some point. Okay, it's still up. It's just not a link tree. Somebody needs to tell them that. So they have a website. They got already products, socials, etc. Rosters. Currently, yeah, see, so I'm listed here technically. But currently, a few things could be worked on. Let me put it like that. But currently working on Trackmania team, Dota 2, they're looking at League of Legends, a lot of interesting things here. Obviously, their Unite team, they have a second one apparently. There's just a lot of interesting things. Now, their idea, which is interesting, is an independently run organization for grassroots. Now the whole spiel with this org, obviously, other than their talent scouting, well, see, they do have a business email, just not on their Twitter bio. See, somebody needs to help them out. They might have to pay me. But their whole thing is a lot of transparency and crowdfunding. So, a crowd-funded and community-driven organization will be releasing a roadmap every 3 months of our plans and goals in order to remain transparent. Obviously, I sub for the Siege team here and there. They do like basic stuff. I think they need a little bit of help in certain areas. They made a TM, like an in-house, which apparently is a new thing for the Pokemon scene, so that's good. They went toe to toe with apparently Luminosity Gaming, question mark, which is huge. This is a good org, by the way. For those of you who are not, like, for any potential rich investors, I highly recommend looking into this org because that idea of crowdfunding is huge. Because the whole spiel is right now, I talked with them. the idea I came up with them when I first worked with them was, what if we make something where fans decide like everything? Because that would be pretty funny on one hand, and on the other hand, it would give a lot of incentive for fans to be active and passionate about the org. So we're like, well, how do we define a fan? Like, you can't just have everyone kind of vote on it. So what if we have, once we grow a number of following, we look at a Patreon here. And then there's special Discord role, growth watch party, match party, pro league prediction competition. So this is like a giveaway kind of thing. Participating in a show match with the players if you're a fan of that. One-on-one coaching with a player and stuff. But there's 2 members. But a big thing about it that was interesting was there was this kind of concept that we would let people, once money is coming in from Patreon, vote on things to like buy. We would like put up like things like, hey, these players want these peripherals. Like, who do we buy? Let's vote. You know, like, who are we gonna help with this stuff? Who are gonna help with branding, right? And kind of let people vote on it, which it's a unique idea. Point is, and I think if they continue to grow and they continue to try and implement that, they will have a lot of success, and that's going to be interesting. I think they need a little bit more of a business mind there. There are certain things that they do a little differently than I would, but so far they're growing nonetheless, so well done by them. And that would be a better example of the unique idea. So we went over, obviously, what happens when you have a ton of money, what happens when you have good talent scouting, and what happens when you have a unique idea. Let's get to branding. So branding is the most important thing in my opinion. As I see right now, actually, it does appear Outlast had their brand redone, which is amazing. But I'm trying to see if I can find an older version of their branding here. But we look all the way back towards the sort of beginning. So here we have Outlast. Original logo, not great. You know, we look at a little later. If it loads. Same logo. Okay, let's see how open qual. A little better, a little simpler. Yep. Here. Yep. A little more defined, etc., etc. But this branding, just tacky, and I don't mean any disrespect to Outlast, obviously. I have a previous client who currently works for Outlast. I helped Outlast as well, with their Pro League aspirations, you could say. I helped them contact Ubisoft and help them establish communications with Ubisoft. So, obviously, I have a lot of respect for Outlast. Now, the thing is with Outlast, their branding and their social media input is not great. Like, you should not be retweeting random Rainbow Six stuff that does not relate to you like this as a professional org. Right. You should not be retweeting those kind of things. Or like talking about, well, that's okay, it's a community thing. You know, retweeting LFTs is unprofessional. I get that you're also a TO, but you need a different page for your TO. Like, there's a lot of things that are very unprofessional about their social medias, right? Like this stuff, not a very professional. That's actually good graphics, so whoever made that, good job. But a lot of unprofessional things. The logo looks a bit like what you'd get off Fiverr, to be honest with you. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done. So personally, I consider this poor branding. Now, an org I work with, who I did a branding rework with, and I'll also bring up Team Growth again. Okay, um, Team Cynical. So obviously we didn't get a banner for them, but we did this logo. So let's go far back before I worked with them. This was their old logo. They had a CL team, or an Element 2 team. Let me elaborate. This was like their graphics, bro. Like, this kind of stuff. And so their owner reaches out to me on Discord randomly and asks me for advice with things, and I've never talked to this guy. So I had no idea what, like, I was like, okay, what are you, like, I'm like, I'm a consultant. If you want help, I take money. And obviously, that worked out. But, I didn't like certain things, like, um, they had a lot of weird, tweets like this that are unprofessional. Um, and I had them delete some. I had them work with some and stuff. But point is, we at a certain point we're like, okay, we're gonna basically do a rebrand here. Yep. See, I'm officially like working here as a consultant for a month. They did all that. Like I did not do these logos. Obviously, this was before the rebrand. So I worked with my GFX guy, who I work with pretty closely, and we basically did the logo that I showed you, and this is like one of the graphics he made. So this is great branding. This looks great. See, dope graphics. Like, people like the graphics. It's good. I mean, this is funny. Um, can't lie, that's funny. But like, we had good graphics. We had this kind of the same idea I had with So I kind of did this first with Team Hidden before I ended up having to scrap that project. But I did this with Cynical and Growth as well, where there's transparency in roadmaps. You kind of want to build hype a little bit. Esports orgs have zero hype. You want to stay professional while building that set hype, though. And so we had a progress report. We had they did it. I didn't do this stuff. I didn't touch this stuff, but they boot camp with Sir Chaos X, who is like a good coach. Out of whatever team, like, I don't know, Z-Man's good. I don't know about anyone else here. Individual coaching with Poison, qualified for TPL, etc. They basically just had good graphics. Logo is solid. I mean, it's clean. We took their old idea of having a scythe or something. We're like, we can have a weapon logo, but make it something a little classier, right? We can have the C as well, and just have like a sword through it, because it was originally gonna be a sword, going down, but we're like, just make it a C, and everyone liked that, so that was a good idea. And then they kind of just disappeared, which is because the owner went to Outlast. Obviously, the owner became a board member of Outlast, who is the guy I've worked with to get them through to Ubisoft. So that's a good example of like a good branding. We obviously have Team Growth. We did a lot of branding. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like some of their branding. They got a new mascot. I gonna be honest. I hate that shit. That really pissed me off. This is not like certain things are not going as well as they should be. Let me put it like this. But I obviously am not working with them. Only so much I can do. Graphic wise, they did do stuff like this. This is my GFX guy is working with them independently of me now, so I don't know what he's being commissioned to do. I assume he's done stuff like this. This looks like his work. I'll have to focus on Pokemon right now, or Siege. The Siege part is kind of dead. Animation, transition. Great consistent branding is the point, right? logo, there were so many issues with the logo. Okay. So for branding, the issue with logo is visibility a lot of time. There's a mixture of simplicity that's needed, otherwise you're gonna look like Outlast, which I don't believe is very good. There's a mixture of being identifiable and stuff. And originally when we made this, we didn't have the roots. We basically just had like a very basic kind of like leaves tree thing. And if you looked at it from a very like zoomed out perspective, it looked like weed back then. But I was like, why not make it a tree, have roots, and then make it look fine and balanced? Like based on a bit of the world tree kind of thing they have from like different cultures, and they did that, and it actually looked pretty damn good. So it's a very unique logo. The color scheme is interesting. They're okay. So teamgrowthesports.org. If you look at their jersey, GFX guy designed this too. Fucking insane jersey, very unique. Stickers, whatever, you know, arm sleeves, whatever. I don't know the quality. I probably would not buy it myself. But jersey is very nice. The jersey was very well done, and the branding is important here because let me put it like this: if your organization does not look very high end, if it does not look very professional, people will not see your organization as professional or high end no matter what you do. Therefore, it is important to prioritize the outside of the organization before the inside. Orgs can take forever to build. If you just spend like, I think all this branding probably costs like 300 anyway. So for $300, you can make your org look absolutely crazy good. Like it'll look like a tier 2, a tier 1 org. And then all you need to do is just figure out the internals afterwards, right? Oh. Oopsie daisy. So the most important part, obviously, other than like figuring out business model of esports and being aware, understanding if you're gonna put in a bunch of money, like money you have to be able to put in like at least 150 grand a year, if you're gonna rely on purely money alone. Otherwise, you need talent scouting or a unique idea or both, like a mixture of these things. Branding is super important. So, our next topic here is realistic expectations. In esports, unfortunately, people have this expectation when they create work that they will be successful without putting in any money, without putting in a lot of effort. And the sad truth is that if we get a random team, let's even look at like a pro league team in a tier 3-ish, tier 2-ish esport, you know, Siege, I'll just use that as an example because I know the salaries. If you go in Asia, you can probably pay per month $600 per player. You have 5 players, and then you have a coach. You can probably get away with paying a coach only 400. So you got 3,400 per month. Now, 12 months in a year, you're spending about almost 40K per year on a team that will not bring you anything in return. You don't get a skin in game, especially not now. You don't get a lot of merch sales because it's an Asian team that kind of sucks. You might get a sponsor or two, but it's probably still going to force you to pay a lot out of pocket. It's going to be a money dump, basically. Or you go into Europe and you spend about 2,000 USD per player, so 10K, plus a coach who you're not going to be able to cheaply, you know, get off. So you're probably going to have to spend 12K, plus they usually will have an analyst and a manager. Probably you can pay the manager a bit less, so you'll probably have about 15K per month. Times 12, you're spending even 10, that's 150, and then 180K a year. $180,000 a year. You'll get more sponsorships and stuff, but will it be enough to cover the 180K? Probably not. back in the day, you used to get in-game skins that would help you make money off of it. Now you won't make money off of it because you can't get in-game skins. The Susquehanna or the Sonics now, basically will maybe not stay in Rainbow Six Siege anymore because of you know, the shareholders obviously not wanting to burn $300,000 for no profit, and it just seems like most games are gonna be money dumps. Rocket League is running into the same thing. Valorant is even more expensive. CS, League of Legends, and Dota 2 are the most consistent games that will actually give you like your bang for your buck, but your buck has to be at least like a mil. So there's not a lot of small esports that are worth it, which is why talent scouting is very important. You have to find these small esports that are worth it, look into their rule books, look into how you can brand them. A lot of it's going to be a lot of hard work. So, for example, we looked at ITB Sim Racing team, right? Let's take a look here again. We look at their sim racing. Only one dude has a Twitter, right? Doesn't even say that he's working for ITV or whatever. No idea what's happening here, but point is, no branding on these guys. So why would a sponsor want to brand a team that, if they're not winning everything, which this could be the best sim racing team in the world, who knows? But if they're not winning everything, why would a sponsor ever sponsor people with no socials? They wouldn't. So you need to basically get people who have a lot of talent and maybe a smaller esport and force them to be very social, force them to stream, force them to make a brand. Hell, pay your GFX guy to make a logo for them, to make a stream setup for them, stuff like that. That's gonna be super, super important. But unfortunately, a lot of orgs don't see it that way. So at the end of the day, the realistic expectation is you're either gonna be putting in like 1 to 2K a month for like 5 years before you start making profit or even get to Pro League like Outlast did. Outlast was in CL 2021. They were established like 2020, 2019 to have a tournament, I guess to make their money back from entry fees, but like I think they break even. I don't even think they make profit. Nobody's buying an Outlast jersey. The logo is tacky. The branding is ass. I don't think they make money. I know they have like 6 or 7 owners / investors who each put in like 500-600 just to make things go by, and then they pay a Pro League team, which apparently has a lot of drama in Australia, and then they drop them right after the season ends, and they find out that there's no way they can get a skin anyway in the next year of Siege. So now they're back to square one, and they're a Siege org. I don't know. Esports is a rough business. You need to have a good eye for things, and that's why I really respect the owner of Team Growth. I did not tell him to go into Pokemon. He found that himself, or Trackmania. But all these things seem to have potential, and he's gonna make profit sooner than later. So once again, massive sponsorship opportunities here. I highly recommend looking into this org. I don't even work with them that much right now. I've been taking a break, which is obviously why I haven't been uploading that much recently. So I guess the last question obviously would be, how do you fix your org? Well, with all the information that I gave for free would be, what is your problem? Do you not have the money? Okay, what can you do to substitute the money? Is that a matter where you literally have put in $0 and can't substitute the money? Well, then esports probably isn't right for you. It's a matter of, oh, you put in a bunch of money, but you put into God knows what, and now you're not seeing any benefit. Well, you need better talent scouting. You either gotta hire someone, DMs are open. No, I'm joking, but you either have to hire somebody who has good talent scouting abilities, like a general manager, or you find somebody who just wants to work experience, because a lot of time in esports, people just work for free, and it sucks. So you either have to find somebody who's going to help you with their talent scouting, you need to rebrand your org with a unique idea, or like a new way of, a new kind of vision, you could say. Or you just gotta get more money into it. It's one of those 3 things. It always will be. And so you have to figure out what it is, and then you need to figure out how you're going to go about it, what you're going to do specifically. And that's where a lot of time consultancy is useful. I'm not going to show myself. I mean, everyone knows I work as a consultant. My DMs are always going to be open on Twitter for work, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here and say, yeah, you should hire me. No. A lot of time, if you have a good business mind, you have a high level of experience in esports, be it a player, a coach, a manager, you're gonna kind of know what you're looking for, and therefore, you're gonna know what to do. A lot of time, it's usually an issue of branding, making people not really want to follow an org because it looks like doo doo, or it's an issue of an org not having good teams and being doo doo, or it's an issue of an org having no originality and being a copy paste. If we look at if we look at esports orgs, they're 50. If I look up like Team Hidden, obviously I have mine here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, there's always gonna be or like, what's a cool word? What's a Scythe Esports, right? Like 1, 2, 3. Like, there's too much competition. You can't be unoriginal. You have to be original, have great branding, have the money to actually, get good teams that will elevate your game. And when you look at good teams, they don't have to be good performance-wise. They have to have a lot of followers. They have to get a lot of social media outreach. And you have to make sure they're active with the work. Make their fans or followers feel like they love your org. That's all it is. All it is you get a bunch of followers, and then you get sponsors, and then you get investors, and you get money, money, money. And then you use that money a little bit here and there, you see how things go, and there it is. It grows, it grows. You reinvest. Always reinvesting. It's just like a business. But people don't see it that way. They think because it's related to video games, that's going to be something different than what it is. At the end of the day, esports is a business, and unless you start treating it like one, you're not going to be able to succeed. And that is why your business is failing. It's not an esports org. Your business. It's not your esports org. It's your business. And unless you treat it that way, it's going to fail. So, to top it off, I'm going to say, it's just make sure you follow the rules I've listed above, and let me know how it goes. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with some things, and let me know how you like this type of content, because I haven't seen a lot of, business people talk about esports. It seems very gate-kept, and I don't like that. I think esports needs, new blood to come in and kind of teach things, and I feel like just let me know how you feel about esports business content, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people could use. So thank you again for watching. And if you want to see random stuff, either gaming or more like educational content or stuff like that, just subscribe. Let me know. I make a bunch of variety of stuff, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.